The reason you're struggling on defense in Madden 26 is because you have no idea what you're doing. But luckily for you, I just helped this player, and this player transform their defense. And I'm gonna do the same for you so long as you follow the 5 tips I break down in this video. And the last one is a secret tip that only the top 1% of players actually do correctly. Let's jump right into it. All right, before you load into any game, you need to make sure you have the best settings equipped to give yourself the best chance. Let me show you. All right, so if we pause the game here, you can do this in an online game. You can do this on these specific settings on the main menu, because you're gonna come into game options, okay? You're going to come into defensive ball hawk. You wanna make sure this is on. This allows you to catch interceptions when the ball is in the air, as you can see by the warning that they give you here. Okay, heat seeker assist, this allows you to make tackles easier. So on gap shoots, when you're dive tackling, okay? I'll have a clip on the screen of me doing that. All right, and so in that clip, you're able to see the kind of switch assist help you. Okay, switch to delay was something we're gonna talk about later in this video. Make sure you stick around how you can switch to better. Make sure this is on none, and then your switch assist needs to be on so that you can change players better, okay? But I'm not done there with the settings, because defense settings are super important. And as far as your coaching adjustments, which yes, you're gonna have to set these every single game, but you can pretty much set them and forget them if you just use these settings I'll give you right here, okay? Defensive motion response disabled, cornerback matchup, balance, RPO pass, key conservative, and then zone drop, something else we're going to talk about later in the video. But if you just want to set them, forget them, you don't want to change them throughout a game, put your curl flats on 5 and you'll be good. Safety depth and close width on pinch, okay? So I'm going to show you one thing right here. If you decide to put your cornerback matchups on anything besides balance, basically when the offense no huddles, your corners and safeties are going to try to match up with the receivers by speed, for example, if that's what you have it set to, but you're in zone coverage. So why is that a problem, BLT? Well, all your guys are moved like this and their zones are set, right? So your whole defense is going to be crisscrossed. Any good offensive player, right, calls a good route concept, something like this. I mean, just look at that. They have a wide open touchdown down the field, and you would have no idea, especially if you didn't look at your play art, but you would basically have to call a timeout to get it right or get it fixed, okay? So make sure you have that on default or balance, I'm sorry, which is the default setting, okay? But then also, you want to make sure you have your safety, set to close and pinch to help you stop seam passes. So multiple benefits and why you need to make sure you have these best defense settings equipped, because if you see, we're going to run a cover 2 right here, you can just see how close our safeties are to the line of scrimmage, and the offense isn't going to just be able to hype throw a seam, okay? Just like you're able to see right there, we get a breakup. But if we go ahead and call the same defense, right, Tampa 2, all right, you're gonna see that even though our safeties are so close, they're still able to get back into coverage, and their receivers aren't gonna be able to run past our defenders. So it's super important that you use those best defense settings, best practices, to give you the best chance before we even get into all the other scheme stuff I have covered for you in this video. All right, I'm gonna let you know right now, if I loaded up against you, I would never have to pass the ball because you probably can't stop the run. Let me fix that. All right, when we talk about run defense, I'm gonna show you 2 of my favorite ways to stop the run right now, okay? The first is going to be by gap shooting, okay? This allows you to be a little bit more versatile in your coverage if you decide to run zone coverage and you don't wanna just play all out man, okay? You're gonna come right here, stand right here over this, about 4 yards over the guard, okay? You're gonna loop around the guard, and you see how I'm able to meet that ball carrier at the point of attack. You don't always wanna rely on your backside defensive end, like right there, TJ Watt. You don't want to always rely on him to come in free, but you're able to see even if he doesn't, I'm right there with Highsmith to make that play on that ball carrier. Why does this work? Because I'm far enough back to where this lineman doesn't recognize me, and he just double teams someone else instead of blocking me. Now I'm able to just loop around, shoot a gap, make a tackle in the backfield. Very, very easy, okay? And so that's really just putting the onus on your user, right? I go ahead, go through it again, right? A lot of people like to talk about pinch your defensive line, shift your D line in the direction you think they're running. I mean, listen, if you don't have a good user, okay, you don't have a good user in the run game, you rely too much on your AI defenders, and that can get you beat pretty often. So boom, go through it again. This time I'm looping around, and you see how I'm once again looping around that lineman and then dive tackling by pressing X on Xbox or square on PlayStation. Boom, getting right there, and I'm just gonna be able to, just dive tackle him in the backfield. Force him to cut back into a bunch of defenders, a sea of defenders on the backside of the play, looping around and gap shooting, is the best way, but it does take the most user skill because it's taken me years to master that and get pretty good with that. So again, you can practice that, but if you're really struggling on the ground in one game and you really don't feel confident in your run game, especially if they're running inside zone, for example, or inside runs, just come into nickel double mug, okay? You know, some of y'all know about this. I've talked about this before in some of my previous videos, okay? You want to take, if the running back right here is on the right side, okay, you want to take the guy opposite of the running back, okay? So now I'm going to stand right here, right over the center with Holcomb, okay? What is that going to do? It's now going to put a flame icon over the other linebacker, Patrick Queen, okay? So I'm standing over the center, Patrick Queen has a flame icon. All that I have to do when they take the snap, run into the center, and then you're able to see Patrick Queen comes in free. Now, if you want to click onto him and like a tackle or, you know, dive tackle the running back, that's up to you, or you can just let the computer try to make the play. Right here, I'm just going to try to make it. So boom, click on, and then I'm just spamming A to bring the guy down, okay? All you're doing, the key with this, the secret, I guess you can call it, is just retargeting the offensive line, okay? Just retarget them. Now you see when I move, they're able to let this guy come in free in order to make the play. But if I stand right here, now we can look at their blocking again. That guy's not going to come in free, right? I don't move, they take the snap, they have whatever, they have that lane, right? No one comes in free. So by moving over there, you retarget the blockers, change their path, and make run defense extremely, extremely easy, okay? So that's the two best ways to stop the run, either looping around and shooting a gap or just running mid blitz and retargeting the blocking of the offensive lineman. All right, this is just the start of the defensive tips that I have for you in this video, but if you're really serious about dominating Madden 26, go down below in the comments, comment free, and I'll send you a free guide to dominate. Let's jump right back into it. All right, I know you're tired of getting beat by the same out routes, post routes, corners, crossers over and over again. Let me show you a defense to stop all of those at the same time. All right, so if they come in a gun bunch, they call this play Z spot and go. All right, you can do this from bunch trail. You can do this out of anything. You can really just hot route a corner streak flat on one side out of a bunch or a tight formation, and boom, you have a great flood concept, okay? But if we run cover two, you're gonna see that one of these routes is gonna be open, okay? We're just gonna take the snap. This time it's the corner out wide open right there on the sideline, okay? And if we decide to drop our zones further back in a cover two, well, what does that leave open? It leaves this out route wide open right here, okay? So obviously here they give us this, but that's one defender trying to stop two routes. Gonna be impossible, right? And even if we go ahead, come here into cover three, this might be what you're doing, right? Cover three, this is just a fantastic route concept against cover three. We run off the deep zones, and then obviously you have a better quarterback than Shadir Sanders. You're able to hit that pass wide open on the sideline, okay? It's very easy, right? It's just attacking zone logic. You run him up the field, I come right under you for an easy completion, okay? So that's gonna be a problem and something that you're probably experiencing right now. But here's the easy solution, and that's why you trust BLT. So make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. But we're gonna come right back into Z spot and go. Okay, we're gonna come into, I mean, you could do this from a Tampa 2. That's what I would do. Come put your flats on 20, your curl flats on 5. Okay, boom. Now we're gonna come into Tampa 2. You're gonna see what our player looks like now. Okay, now our outside corners are gonna be in flats and they're gonna be dropping back to 20 yards. Okay, what you want to do is put your linebacker right here. So press D-pad right twice, then press X. Okay, then press left stick right to put him in a curl flat, a 5-yard curl flat that you had set in your zone drops earlier. Okay, now you're gonna come put your slot corner, press Y twice, then press A, put him in a curl flat. Okay, then you're gonna press RB and pass commit your defense. Okay, so this is what the defense is gonna look like now. So what you're gonna see is if I go ahead and call this same flood concept, you're gonna see how everyone's gonna be guarded. Right, we're gonna have a guy sitting right there at 20 yards to break up the corner route. You're gonna have another defender sitting at 5 yards to take away the underneath route, okay? And then also, you're just gonna see how, even again, the table route's guarded right here on the backside of this play, the C route's guarded. So this is fantastic defense on every level, right? Everything they called is guarded. I really didn't even have to user anything over the middle of the field with my user because I had zones in every area. This is fantastic against people who don't wanna attack the middle of the field. They just want to sit on the sideline, throw corners, throw out routes, throw drags, all game. That's all they do. This is a perfect defense to do that because, again, it's very simple and you have guys in every single area of the field. All right, have you ever watched one of your favorite pro players play and wonder how they switch all over the field so fast on defense? Let me show you how to master the switch stick. All right, so we're gonna come into any defense, and obviously, like I said earlier, a lot of this stuff's going to be able to be run from the same defenses, okay? So early in the video, I showed you in your gameplay settings to make sure you switch to delay on none. This is why. Okay, so I'm gonna come into this defense. They're gonna have a play like spacing switch called. Let's just call it against stock zone. Okay, boom, you're able to see they have guys open, right? X is open, RB's open if my user's not there, A's open, B's open. Like there's a lot of guys open, right? And against really good offensive players who call fantastic route concepts, maybe, you know, like this one. Right, there's a lot of guys open because they're actually attacking every layer of the zone, every level of the defense, and so it's going to be tough for you to be able to play defense. Well, introduce and meet the switch stick, okay? So all you're going to do is you're going to start on one player, whichever player you want. I'd always recommend starting on a linebacker, and they're going to take the snap, and you're just going to be able to switch multiple times, and you see how everything is guarded across the field, okay? Like everything's guarded because I'm able to switch players, right? So you're gonna see, boom, I'm gonna take away this drag, okay, boom. Then I'm gonna come up onto this safety, realize nothing else is in the field, so I'm able to run with this crosser and take this away. This route concept beats every single, especially zone defense, right? But by, you know, switching multiple times, you're able to see we're really able to take away everything, right? And if we wanted to take away this route right here, we could just switch it onto him a little bit earlier in the play and take it away. Now, obviously, when they call fantastic route concepts, they make it a lot harder for you to be able to switch stick onto the right guy multiple times and play perfect defense. But let's just take the same situation that we had earlier, okay, where they're gonna call Z spot and go shriek corner flat, right? Just something like this, very simple. Well, what you could do is you could just man up the tight end. Okay, boom, we're gonna man up the tight end, and we're gonna start unpack your queen, and then we're gonna switch stick onto our corner right here, Joey Porter, and now you're able to see how we're able to play perfect defense because we have someone guarding the out route, right? And then we have our user, we're gonna switch players and take away this corner route right here. So you're also able to see how this is the first guy that I switched onto, right? And so it took, and this is the second guy, and this is the third guy. So it took 3 switches on that play to actually get onto the guy that I wanted to, which is why it's so important to practice and really just start to understand who you're actually clicked onto. Because if I got onto this guy and ran too far to the right to the sideline, I would have given up the shriek over the top. But because I have great recognition, I'm able to recognize that, hey, I'm not on the right guy, then I'm able to switch again, okay? And another thing I want to break down with the switch stick is why it might not be working for you is because you're blitzing your user probably, okay? If you put your user in a blitz assignment, you're able to see how I'm flicking the right stick in every direction, but I was never able to switch stick because the player has to be in a coverage assignment for you to actually be able to use the right stick, okay? So you're able to see I'm trying to switch players, and you just end up playing terrible defense when you think you can switch stick, but you don't. So always make sure your user, when you're trying to switch stick, is in a man coverage assignment like this, or he's actually in a zone assignment, something like this. Any man assignment, any zone assignment, and you're gonna become way better with the switch stick by, again, flicking the right stick in the direction of the guy you wanna switch on to. All right, and that hidden tip that only the top 1% of players actually use correctly are called coverage shells. Let me show you. All right, so if we go ahead and come into any defense, right? For example, I'm just gonna run 2 for double mug, okay? You're going to see if you press this button, you come into the play call menu. Now you can choose your shell. This was something that was new in Madden 25. It's a little bit better here, honestly, in my opinion, because more people know about it, okay? So you're gonna come into shell, okay? And you're gonna, by flicking the right stick in any direction, you see how I'm switching my coverage shell, okay? Why is this useful? Well, if I see cover 3 on the field, indicated by a single high safety. That's what we were all trained growing up or playing Madden, right? You see one high safety in the middle of the field, they're in zone coverage, it's cover 3. Well, that's great, and that's great to know because as I showed you earlier, you can call a great play like, you know, this, where you're just gonna flood the right side of the field or the short side. And boom, you're gonna see if you wait on your corner out, he's gonna be wide open right there on the sideline. I look at the defense, I read the defense, I see they're in cover 3, given my tell, and now I call the right play and hit the read very easy. That's how we used to be able to play offense. Well, now you have the ability to change up your coverage on defense. So again, I'm going to come right back into the play call menu, and I say change up your defense, but you really don't have to do anything different. Okay, we're going to come into cover 3 sky, and we're going to make our coverage shell a cover 2 by flicking the right stick to the right twice. Okay, so we're going to come into cover 3 sky, and now you're going to see how our defense, this looks like a cover 2. This looks the exact same as if I audible to Tampa 2. I just audible to Tampa 2 and nothing changed. No one moved. And so that's the beauty of coverage shells, right? Is you're going to be able to actually disguise your defense. Now, if you reset the play, then it goes back into the default kind of alignment here. But we come right back into cover 3 sky with our cover 2 shell, and now we look like we're in a cover 2, right? And so now, although, you know, street corner flat can beat every defense, I'm much less likely to call that route concept if I don't see an obvious cover 3 tell. So now you get them in a route concept maybe like this, which cover 3 might be a little bit better at defending, and now you're actually able to play pretty good defense. Now, obviously, you don't want to have a better user, you want to switch stick, but being able to change up your defense is, you know, fantastic, okay? It really is amazing, right? Just confusing offensive players. But if we show you another use case for this, right? So you're going to come into cover 3 sky once again, but this time you're going to show a cover 0 shell, okay? And so now you're able to see this looks exactly like mid blitz. Okay, this looks exactly the same as mid blitz. Even if you wanted to just walk this guy down, boom, I'm showing you like I'm on offense. This looks like just cover 0. Everyone's lined up across from the receivers. You know, they walked Ramsey down, right? This just looks like cover 0, okay, right? And so then you read, why does that help you? Well, now if I'm playing against man coverage, I'm probably not going to put a streak on the field, right? If I'm playing against man coverage, I would probably call even a play like, you know, even like a play like this, where it's like, I'm just going to put an out route, I'm going to put an in route, I'm going to put a bunch of man beaters. Well, now this route concept isn't fantastic against zone coverage, right? Especially not cover 3 hard flat, because now you're going to be able to see if they go ahead and take this snap and we drop into zone, that's terrible. Like, that is the worst fear of an offensive player, is misreading a defense and having to pay for it, right? Because now they put a whole bunch of man beaters, we drop into zone, and no one's going to get open because it's a terrible route concept versus zone coverage. You're not really attacking any specific area, okay? So start using more coverage shells to confuse offensive players. A couple of good use cases there, whether you want to run cover 3, show a cover 2, or my favorite is showing a cover 0 and then dropping into a cover 2 or cover 3, because you completely alter the course of their route concept. All right, hopefully that's going to help you dominate on defense, but if you want one-on-one help to transform any part of your game, I want to work with you to coach you one-on-one on Madden 26. Check out this video right here where I break down more information about all the ways we can work together. I'll see you over there.